Warning. This program contains very strong language from the outset. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi and welcome to Hard Lines, the podcast where we look at Roast Battle UK and dissect one of the battles from our back catalogue to look into what it actually takes to battle here in London. I'm Drew Stearne and joined with me is always my co-host, Miss Shalaka Kurup.
Hi Drew, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. We're looking at the next roast battle on the calendar, which will be back at the Big Belly, and we've just had news that you will be back battling again against another staple from the UK lineup, Mr. Adam Kumaas. Have you battled him before?
Have I battled? No, I have not.
No, he's done some great battles. I really love battling Adam because. A competitor that's always got a massive smile on their face, I feel like it's easier for the audience to buy into the fact that this is actually a fun thing. Someone who scowls and looks miserable, the audience isn't entirely sure if this is a persona or if they're actually upset. Adam smiles so big and so large from ear to ear, it just feels like he's enjoying every part of the experience. Yeah,
we should do your battle with him or any battle that he's done on the podcast at some point soon.
Yes, I really enjoyed the one I battled him against. He had a bit of a duff one the other day, but it actually, the fact that it went down badly, he made that into a funny joke. Yeah. We'll cover some of his ups and downs in a future episode, but he is a lot of fun. Have you got anything off the top of your head that you know you're going to, by the time this goes out, the battle will have happened, so anything that you're thinking of immediately, like, I might lean into that side of things?
No, but I do want to bring up the fact that I'm 50-50 on bringing up the fact that he has done work with GB News before as a brown man, but I also do know that he may not like me mentioning that on stage.
Well, this is the thing, that the last person that you battled was Jonathan Colgan, who has also done work for GB News.
Yeah, but he's very proud of the fact that he's worked with GB News. If you read his facts, I'm not making fun of him. If you read his facts, he talks about how he's gotten a lot of work off the back of being on GB News.
Look, we don't
get... pussy though. Sorry.
Yes. It's not a notorious pussy magnet working on GB News, as far as I'm aware. But I also know that comedians don't get paid a tremendous amount of money to tell jokes. So any money you can make, be it working for a right-wing news outlet.
You'd be surprised by how little GB News pays.
I'd be crushingly disappointed by someone who would break the kind of moral, ethical code just to appear for a pocket full of change. If it was a lot of money, it would almost make sense. But you're not. It's not like the Riyadh Comedy Festival. It's not that.
No, I mean Riyadh Comedy Festival. If he'd done that, I'd be like, well, good on you.
Fair enough.
I actually wouldn't have. I respect the people who pulled out of that because I assume it was a lot of money that they gave up to.
That's the thing. I have never been in a position to turn down that amount of money. So I'd be like, until you're presented with it, I'm not sure I would be able to. But then, relatively speaking, that would be way much more money than I've ever seen. Yeah. So for them, anyway, we're getting off target. Adam Kumaas works on GB News. Whether or not it gets brought up at Roast Battle has been mentioned here. I'm sure he doesn't endorse their opinions. They just need the other side of the argument or a brown man to shout at. Yeah. Who knows? I love battling him. I love seeing his battles. So I'm very, very excited. I will be judging that night. I will try to be impartial. I like you both. So let's see it there. And I'll be back at Big Belly, a venue that we've spoken about before. If you haven't seen any of our shows there, we will almost certainly be doing them there in future. But just check out the shows there if you're in London. It's a great club and deserves to do extremely well. Right, for today's episode, we are going back through the archive all the way back about 5 days ago to one of our most recent shows. In fact, the most recent one. It was one that you were competing at, but we're not looking at your battle. We had the privilege of seeing quite a few new people up on stage, and one lineup that we're going to be looking at today is, let me get the names right because I'm going to get this mixed up, is Rich versus Luke.
Yes.
And they were new to Roast Battle, not new to stand-up comedy, but new to the Roast Battle scene. And you never really know what to expect when you know someone's brand new.
You know it's going to be a gamble.
Yeah.
It could either go amazingly where you see someone, you're like, you're a star, please come back. Or you see a battle and you're like, oh no, we've made a huge mistake.
And there's different ways that a new competitor can show up in the field. They might like when I just applied and I'd say, just pair me up with whoever.
Yeah.
So I don't know that person. And as it was, the person I got paired up with was also new. But then I have been paired up with someone who's been doing it for years with someone who's never done it before. So as a newbie, if you're applying solo, you do not know who you're going to be up against.
I mean, the general advice, at least for Roast Battle London, is if you're applying, apply with someone, do your first roast battle with someone you already know, so that there's a level of comfort.
Yeah, I think that helps you settle in. I think it gives you a false sense of security if it goes well. Yes. I'm very much a fan.
Some of us took that false sense of security and made a career out of it. So
who was your first battle against?
Simba.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did that go?
I was really nervous. I think I won that one, and was like, oh my God, I'm going to do this again. And then all the other ones after that were with random people. I've forgotten the chap's name who I was up against, but it was only his second battle. But it was his second battle, and then my first, and I lost that one. And then my second ever battle was up against Ken Grinnell. That is rough.
Which I won.
Oh, well done.
I won my second ever battle, and then I was on a losing streak for months afterwards. Yeah. I think the judges I think he had a couple of like comebacks in there that fell a bit flat. In fact, I know this because I watched it earlier today, because of some research for the podcast, let's say, but I dug it out of the archive. That was my second ever battle, and Ken would go on to become the UK champion that year.
Yeah.
So that was a tough one to go up against. But I know the recommendation is to apply with someone. I think that's what's happened here. That these two guys, new to us, I haven't seen them do stand up before, so I didn't really know them at all, and I was judging. So it was hard to say until they actually walk up on stage. You make some assumptions about them based on what you see, exactly like the audience does. We're coming in with no prior information, which I think helps be more loose with the judging, because obviously if you battle, or if someone like Helen Kay or Ken Grinnell's battling, as judges, we know these people really well. We've seen them battle before. We know what to expect. So it's about them either undermining those expectations or living up to them. But with this, you got no idea.
You have nothing whatsoever to work with. It's also... at least with me, I always not expect it to be bad. I expect it to be, it's like seeing when someone's like, oh, this is my 10th stand-up gig. You're expecting it to be of a lower quality than it is. And why I wanted us to do this battle, or why we decided on doing this battle today, was because the quality was
right up
high
there
for two people who'd never done roast battle before.
Yeah, it's. I think it was right up there with what we'd expect from seasoned pros doing it. For sure. And that is not an easy thing to pull off at all. So a lot of people come in and they might not have seen many roast battles. I was a punter before I ever did it. I'd been to the show. I'd been a big fan of it. So I'd seen it in action. So I kind of knew what I was letting myself in for. But a lot of people turn up going, oh, this will be fun, and haven't really ever seen it go well or go bad.
Yeah.
But this felt like they went in with their eyes open. They knew what they were up against, and they are clearly charismatic, great performers in their own right. And I think they delivered a great battle.
Yeah. Right. Should we get into it?
Let's dive in.
All right. Rich Bun here, very simple. He looks like if Obi-Wan Kenobi also did slam poetry.
That's fair, that is fair. Luke is Australian, but I made a note here, although there are a lot of negative stereotypes associated with Australia, don't assume that the guy that's going to step on the stage is going to be a smug, irritatingly voiced prick in double denim with a curly-haired mullet that makes it look like someone superglued pubes onto a pig's arsehole.
Thanks, Rich.
That kicks it off really strong. I think that first joke from Lewis, the Obi-Wan joke. Luke. I've written Lewis. This is
there's too many men in roast battle, and they all have the same name broadly.
Luke, not Lewis. Right. Luke kicks the door down with that Obi-Wan joke, which the audience loved so much. It is so short. It almost feels like a kind of a preamble joke.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us were like expecting another joke.
Yeah.
But as you say, he got a laugh, so stop, right?
Yeah. I think he did great. The Rich's joke, I think he should have stopped at double denim.
Double denim was enough. The pube stuff is not strong enough to want to overrun it. And I think this is a theme that's going to come up in Check's notes. Rich's jokes.
Yeah.
I'm going to get these names wrong as we go. Rich is the guy in the polo neck, and Luke is the guy. Yeah, oh my God. Rich is the guy in the turtleneck, and Luke is the guy in the denim. Rich does bury his jokes in a lot of words, and I think brevity is so important. Getting to the joke,
especially at roast battle.
Especially roast battle, you want to use as few words as possible and have as high density. And he fails on the density, so all the stuff is in there. You just have to dig around for it. And the double denim is just so good.
Yeah, but for this round, I would give it to Luke. I think.
Absolutely.
Obi-Wan Kenobi doing. I love when someone creates an image that you're like, yes, it's there. It's in front of my eyes. I can see it. It's perfect.
Slam poetry just doesn't come up that often, and so
why not? I
think it kind of, since the 90s, it hasn't been as popular.
It's coming back.
Since it's coming back.
Yeah.
All that reminds me of just the movie So I Married an Ex-Murderer. It's Mike Myers' movie.
Fair enough.
He's a beat poet.
Woman! Whoa, man! Whoa, man!
Yeah. See, where you can tell the difference in our ages, because what it reminds me of is 21 Jump Street.
Okay, that is a very pale. It's actually in 22 Jump Street. It's in the sequel.
You Are Dead. Yeah, it is, because Ice Cube's in it. Yes, of course.
Ice Cube's in both.
Yeah. He's in 21 Jump Street.
He plays the same role in both. Yeah.
But which one does he fuck his daughter?
Second one.
That's 22
Jump Street.
I need to rewatch those films. Wow, you are a Jump Street connoisseur.
Okay. Not only that, I'm old enough to have watched the original TV series.
Oh, fair enough, with Johnny Depp.
We're getting off topic, but yes, I'm a bit of a movie nerd, so that's always going to be my jam.
Jeff, sorry. My name's Jeff.
That, again, another side note, I have a young son at primary school, and the amount of kids who make that joke, and I know for a fact that my son hasn't seen it, but he'll just shout out, my name is
It's so funny.
It is stupidly funny.
Anyway, these guys are great.
These guys were great.
It's not 22 Jump Street, but they were great.
It is. The double denim, I think the reason, obviously we're assuming you're watching this, he is wearing double denim.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's confirming all of these stereotypes is and it's the double denim one that really hits the hardest, because the hair looks like pubes. I mean, really, anyone with short curly hair can look like they have pubes stuck in their head.
That didn't do very much for me.
It didn't feel particular. It just felt like something to say.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like a real joke, but just
it felt like he was like, how do I finish this joke?
Yeah,
Let's add some sentences.
The fact is, he stepped up on stage, but at least he isn't wearing double denim when he clearly is. That is enough of a joke. That was a clear point to start. And also, be very wary about making jokes about someone's clothing when you're wearing a turtleneck up on stage.
Yes.
And I'm speaking as a man who has frequently worn a turtleneck up on stage. Maybe even at roast battle, but that is a brave point.
No, I learned that the hard way at this very same night, where me and Jonathan Cogan dressed exactly the same, because I decided in all of my infinite wisdom to wear one of my boyfriend's shirts. Yeah. And we went on stage in the exact same outfits.
Corduroy shirts. Both of you were in corduroy shirts.
And I'm just stood there looking like an idiot, when wondering why my joke about him looking like a cottagecore lesbian doesn't work. And then I look down and I'm like, I'm also dressed like a cottagecore lesbian.
I can't believe he didn't pounce on that. In fact, it took me bringing it up at the end. No one had mentioned it the entire battle. Yeah. Mark didn't mention it afterwards. I'm like, you're wearing the same thing. Yeah. And I hadn't even picked up on it until you said about him looking something about Boohoo.
Oh, Boo! If Crazy Frog shopped at Boohoo,
Crazy Frog shopped at Boohoo, and then because where my perspective is you're standing next to each other. It's hard for me to see both of you, and I just leant out and went, they're wearing the same fucking outfits.
Importantly, I did not look like Crazy Frog.
No, but you were closer in stature to an actual frog, so there was that. Anyhow, be careful when you roast someone's looks, especially if you turn up looking exactly like them. Right, moving on, round number 2.
Thanks, Rich. Rich was in the army. He was a medic in the army. The thing that first attracted him to the job was he always dreamt of getting paid to plug men's bleeding holes. They wanted him to give first aid, but he was too busy getting AIDS first. I'm kidding, of course, I'm kidding. Only fun people get AIDS, and Rich is boring as shit.
Yeah, it is true that I was nobly serving my country overseas during a period where Luke was, believe it or not, in a boy band for kids. It was called Boys from the Area. And I assume he had to leave the area once said boys got old enough to press charges.
We were a good rap crew.
I think this round is where they really start to shine as not just people who are trying out for the first time, but almost as good as seasoned pros here, because this round is unbelievable.
The entire, AIDS first, what a joke. It was one of those jokes where I was like, why have I not thought of that before?
Yeah.
Why have I not thought of that before?
And we've said that before. The best jokes are ones where you hear it and you go like, oh my God, it's right there. It's been there the whole time.
Right in front of your eyes, yeah.
And it, we love a good AIDS joke. Enough time has passed for it to be funny now. It's been officially declared. What I think is interesting is that it's not necessarily clear at this point in the battle, but he's setting up a trope for the army side of things, which will come back over the next couple of rounds. So this is also a good round from Luke in his own right, but it's setting the groundwork for future rounds, which is very, very important you've mentioned this before, about consistency and creating a world, right?
Yeah. What I think he should have done, that he could have done better, is not call him boring, because we know he's boring.
He does look a bit boring.
Ending on AIDS first would have been such a huge hit.
He didn't need to go on. Luckily, he got a laugh out of the tag at the end. The only fun people get AIDS, which is a fun line. But he didn't need it. It didn't elevate his round any higher than it already was.
Yeah. But Rich's comeback. This round goes to Rich for me, just because the starting with while I was nobly serving my country. Perfect.
Yeah, the timing of it is it's almost suspect, because if you didn't know that he was going to start talking about the army stuff in round 2, having your comeback being a response to that and then tying that into the joke. We can see this from first time battlers where they sometimes coordinate on it, which is
right together. Yeah.
It's not, there's no rules around that. It's not generally done.
Yeah.
And like people who've been doing it a long time, like us, you might ask a third person to kind of help give some input, but you certainly wouldn't necessarily sit down with the person you're battling against and figure out a set piece.
I know people who have written together before. I've written with other people before. It's just a matter of preference, isn't it?
Yeah.
Some people prefer it, but I think it limits your possibility on how much roast battle you can do. Because if someone who's always written with people, and this has happened to me, has turned up and said, I want to write with you, I am not going to, because I don't have that much time in the day.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit down and organize extended Zoom calls every single day for a week so that we can figure out a roast battle together.
Yeah.
I just don't have the time for that.
I've seen it go wrong. I've seen where there was a roast battle and it was two infrequent battlers who hadn't done much, and it became a bit. The battle became a bit in its own right, and it was way too rehearsed. I think Adam Green really called it when he said it felt like an A-level drama recital.
Yes, I've seen that happen before as well. Yeah.
So you want to avoid that, but here, and I don't necessarily know if they wrote together, it just feels the timing just feels too perfect.
But it works out well.
It works out perfectly, and it feels natural from the audience's perspective, so it doesn't matter. And that line, when I was nobly serving my country, it just is such a perfect counterbalance.
Yeah.
So good.
But also everything he follows up with, I mean, it's very rare for someone to be able to pull off. I've seen people do this before, where they'll just go on stage and say a fact about a person and expect it to be funny on its own.
Yeah, this is the only time that's ever worked, I think.
But the way in which it worked, you can hear me. I'm in the back cackling because it's so funny. And just that perfect combination of a boy band, 4 kids called Boys in the Area. That's beautiful.
And there are sometimes people will make stuff up about people, and then the audience might or might not buy into it. This is too weird to be made up.
It's so specific.
It's so specific. So, and as you say, it's so rare for you just to be able to state a fact and get a laugh out of that. But he doesn't rest on it. He builds into it.
Press charges.
Charges. Yeah. And when those boys in that area, like he uses the language back. And for those of you not watching along, Luke is clearly acknowledging, so the audience has confidence that this isn't a made-up fact, that he's going nodding along like, this is a fact, and that can sometimes make a big difference, because if someone says something about you that's clearly not true, and you react in a way that undermines their premise, it's really hard for them to maintain that and actually get a laugh out of it. And it's that improv idea of yes and, like, okay, you've said this about me, so we've established that in the narrative of this battle, that's kind of true. And it never usually works to say, no, that's not true. Yeah. And with the fact like this, it's so weird we would have believed it anyway, but the fact that he's kind of acknowledging that it's true, it just helps the audience feel more comfortable about what's being said. I think the worst thing you
can do at a roast battle is if someone says something about you, going, that's not true actually. It just makes you, no matter how justified you are in that reaction, just makes you look like a dick. It just makes you look petty, like you're not buying into the battle. It creates this weird tension where the entire audience is like, oh no, somebody's tense on stage. Yeah. Now I am also tense, and it just ruins the rest of the... And I've seen it happen so many times before where someone's been like, or even just making that face where it's like, what? That
it just tips it for both competitors.
Yeah, not only does... I mean, yes, congratulations, their jokes are now suffering for it. But so are yours, because people are now tense around you where they're like, can they take a joke or not?
Yeah, and that's not the case in this battle. That they, again, as we've said before, battling is as much about being a good receiver of jokes as it is about a teller of jokes. And these guys are doing it absolutely perfectly. I feel like I need to look up Boys into Area.
Oh yeah.
Let me clarify that. I feel like I need to look up the history of the band Boys into Area. Let me be very specific. There's a clip that can be taken out of context. Right, let's just move on to round number 3.
Rich recently quit his job. He wanted to focus on his voice work and his acting, and is now financially supported by his girlfriend. So he is covering both his weak chin and his week's rent with a beard.
Yeah, okay. You're right. You are right. Luke's family are, in fact, incredibly wealthy. You can't tell from the way he dresses at all, but they are considerably richer than my rich voice would suggest. Was the two of us the richest? Grammar, I have words. Let's all put them together ourselves. I like to think of Luke's family kind of like sugarcane. You know, they are rough on the outside, but they're sweet on the inside. And they own a lot of stolen Aboriginal land.
One's rich by name, one's rich by nature. That's all right.
Right, it goes a little bit off the rails, I think, in this round.
That was fine.
It was fine. I think Rich in the middle of that does have where he recites a bit that he might do when he does it in his stand-up when he gets something wrong.
Yeah.
But the way it flows, it feels like it's part of the joke, and you're trying to follow it, and you're like, oh, wait, no, this isn't part of the joke. He's just got himself muddled up, and then he pulls himself back out without ever really feeling he's left the flow.
Yeah.
So there's a whole middle section to this bit where I don't know what the hell he's talking about. I don't know what
happened, and to be honest, I kind of lost interest a little bit.
I think
by the time it got to this fact that his family owned Aboriginal land, I was like, oh, fine, I guess.
That's the audience. Again, they've built up goodwill at this point. The audience is waiting for punchline, and then they've heard Australian man living on stolen Aboriginal land. That's enough.
Yeah.
Let's laugh at that.
It's. I don't want to be mean, but I also laughed, but it was more of a, yay, you got there. It's like, oh, good, finally.
I believe I turned to Celia, my co-judge on this, going during this round. I went, I think I'm having a stroke. I've completely lost track. Now, Luke fares a little bit better, but I think he's got like he starts building up the joke about he quit his job to work on the voice work, and that the whole bit about voice work in the middle then doesn't relate back to anything else. So too many words.
I'm always telling people to it's too many words, but I'm always telling people to not do any, like, if you get a laugh, shut up.
Yeah.
Don't say any more. That's like my whole thing. But this is one of the few times where I'm like, you haven't
got the laugh yet.
Put another joke in.
Yeah.
Put something more. Because I think on paper, the weak chin, something rent with a beard, great, fantastic.
Yeah.
It's well written on paper. But in this context, just did not really land. It's a perfectly constructed joke. Like, technically, it's very nicely written.
Yeah.
But it's just not that funny.
Well, yeah, I mean, the kind of the double meaning of beard.
Yeah.
You kind of need to establish, for that to work. I mean, in the context of this, a beard being a gay person has a straight person as their seeming partner to seem straight. Nothing else has established him implying that he's gay in the battle so far.
So it just kind of comes out of nowhere.
It comes out of nowhere. So like, okay, yeah, that can work, but the whole build-up then doesn't tie into his girlfriend being a beard. It actually supports him financially, but
it just feels like everything that was said at the end was, oh, I need to have a punchline.
Yeah, the build-up relates to they got the beard on his face and the beard in his relationship, and the lead-up leads to one and not so much to the other. So it's and for the build-up that big, it really needs to tie both of them together.
I think if he had a better build-up,
or just less of a build-up,
or even like Rich is a broke man whose girlfriend pays the bill. He covers that week's chin and a week's rent with a beard. Like,
if you start,
enough.
Yeah, if you start like has an ugly face, and I
does voiceover work.
And I think he's possibly gay, so he has a beard for both of those reasons. Like his girlfriend supports him.
That's why
he's only in a relationship with a woman to support him financially, something like that. And then the setup ties both of those branches of the two meanings of beard.
This is the exact situation why I do those intros.
Yeah,
because you can just say this. Something I was going to say this gay boy, but I don't think that's a good setup. But you can imply all of those facts right as an intro and then just do the joke.
I will actually. I'm going to correct myself because I said that they hadn't really established anything of him being gay, but there was in his round 2 joke about him feeling bleeding holes.
AIDS first, yeah,
AIDS first, bleeding holes. So there was a, but I'd kind of forgotten about that for this case, and it didn't feel like the through line connected as clearly as it possibly could have done.
Yeah,
I think he's got a strong punchline, but it kind of gets lost in the mix a little bit. But the audience are on board; they laughed.
I think also this is consistency that we've spoken about in previous episodes, where okay, so he's a homosexual man who's been giving people AIDS. Oh, he has a girlfriend.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to. There's so many funny ways in if you can explain that before getting to beard, but you can double down on the fact that his girlfriend is a beard.
Yeah, I mean, well, that is kind of consistent, but if he'd established that he only has that girlfriend as a beard, but as you say, it's a bit of a detour from that consistency to say he's gay, he has a girlfriend, and then you loop back in. It doesn't help build that singular vision of someone.
I think the detour from the consistency makes everything a little less. It kind of takes away from the previous joke, and then makes next joke a little less interesting, because you're like, oh, you're just calling him. It's like middle school. You're just being like gay. That's essentially what you're doing here. Like, you're taking his facts and be like, anyway, he's gay. Yeah, like that is all that's happening here.
Yeah, and even in the few years, like 4 years I've been doing roast battle, I've seen that work less and less. That there was a time where you could just do that and people were letting you get away with it, but now you need to be more clever about it. But that's not to say that there isn't great stuff in here. I think that just might be experience, like learning how to craft, chip away at this. It's a rough diamond and needs to be hewn into something that shines a little bit more. Right, moving on to round 4.
This is. See this one. See nothing. A real veteran would be rolling on the floor with PTSD. Only PTSD. The only PTSD this guy has is a pretty tiny, smelly dick. Hadouken!
It is true that whilst I was nobly serving my country overseas, Luke's family were rich enough to buy him out of the need to go into the military. Luckily, he had a better trick up his sleeves. Some people aren't tall enough, of course, to join. He had such a massively tiny penis that his complete retardation made all the difference.
It's how you use it, it's fine.
Right. I think Luke absolutely storms this round, like by a country mile.
I mean, I think bringing on sound effects from your phone works 50-50. Best case scenario. It's a 50% risk that it's not going to work. Yeah. And that was phenomenal.
It was
that was so phenomenal. So good. Callum's on it with the sound effects. Callum, who produces Roast Battle, on it with the sound effects, with the gunshots.
I didn't add those in the edit. Those were live in the room by Callum.
Fantastic work from Callum there. And in any other situation, ending with a real veteran would have been rolling on the floor with those sound effects, anything that came after that would have really tanked that joke. But the silliness of pretty tiny smelly dick, it's an entirely stupid, silly, ridiculous round from him, and everything works.
It's so good that you're absolutely right on the sound effects. That for starters, one of the risks, can people hear it?
Yeah.
Is it clear? Have I played the right file? So that's a gamble, because we're not playing those through the PA. He's literally just holding his phone up to the microphone. And if there's any delay, if you're like, oh no, wait, you kill it. But he has it ready. It works first time. We immediately identify what it is.
Yeah.
It's like Huey helicopter immediately brings like Vietnam War movies to mind. You've got the audience. Like you can, in such a short, like just, and immediately the audience knows exactly what you're playing. But we don't necessarily know why.
Yeah.
And then teeing it up, going, if you're really in the military, and then that ties with such a perfect callback to what he's set up before. That is proper joke telling. That's proper that how you write your stand up. You want to call back to previous parts, and you're right. The pretty tiny smelly dick. It is such a stupid joke.
In any other context, if someone showed me a roast battle document saying, "I'm going to say he has PTSD and it stands for pretty tiny smelly dick," I'd be like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. And it just works.
I think because we've established him as being in the military and he hasn't really fought, if you would have PTSD. It just ties. It's so well wrapped up in a bow, everything together. That, as you say, like you should stop when you've had a big laugh. But all of that is its own little universe that sits perfectly within this battle. It's so well constructed.
This entire sequence of Luke's is why I love Roast Battle.
Yeah.
You just get to see stuff where it's that perfect situation where Roast Battle's full of moments where you experience them live and then go back and try to relate them to someone else. Like, for example, I'll go back and tell my boyfriend a joke and he'll just stare at me blankly. Yeah. And it's just the perfect example of the magic that is in the room at that point in time. It's perfect. And it's hard for us even to communicate through this, and showing you clips as funny as they might seem in clip form. Being in the room and experiencing it is just infinitely bigger. So if you can get to a roast battle, you absolutely should. But remember, this is from someone that's their first ever roast battle. Then they wouldn't have come to roast battle and see lots of people do sound effects. So that's always a gamble. And to come out the gate, and it is a perfect little round. Yeah. Just so good. No notes whatsoever.
None.
Plenty of notes for Rich.
Plenty of notes. Like the callback to nobly serving.
Fantastic.
That's great. That's this shield that you can bring up, and it's both a double dip and it's a callback, but it just works. And changing the wording wouldn't have worked. So doing it again is great.
I've just watched it, and that joke he did is already out of my memory. Also, I didn't even write it down. I just wrote down massive fail.
Yeah, so he implies that we've already, through his jokes, implied that Luke's family were rich, so they had enough money to buy out of military service. That hasn't been a thing anywhere since the 70s.
Considering also that Luke is 25 years old.
Yes.
Where was he getting conscripted? South Korea.
Yeah.
Like, what is happening?
And even that you can't buy out of it in South Korea. Yeah. Just look at BTS.
Yeah.
So, hey, cultural reference.
But also what is bizarre about that joke is, now that you've reminded me of what it is it that he can't be in the army because he has a small penis?
No, apparently it's because he's retarded.
Which is, it's one of the few words that I'm not a fan of people using in roast battle, because it feels so lazy.
Yeah, although to be fair, he said retardation.
Which makes it even more confusing, because that sounds scientific. Yeah. So is it like physical retardation of his penis? Yeah. Is his penis degrading? Is it getting smaller?
No, I think that was talking about his mental state rather than his penis. But
why did his penis come up in conversation at all?
Yeah, and it also felt like if your opponent has just done around talking about your pretty tiny smelly dick, if you go, no, you are, it's immediately coming back with the same accusation. And this happens a lot when white boys roast each other.
You're a pedophile. No, you're a pedophile.
Adam Green had a great comment going, oh, I liked it when you said he had a tiny dick and then you said he had a tiny dick. I went, yes, that's essentially all we have to work with here. But in this round, like having that immediate comeback, it felt like that was always going to die.
Yeah.
There was no way that was going to work when you go up against that round. And that's the order of jokes matters. And in this case, Rich was on a disadvantage, both on timing and quality of jokes. So he really suffered under that. There wasn't enough in there to make it work. The idea of being able to buy yourself out to the military, it doesn't resonate with anyone.
Yeah. But at least Luke brought it back a little bit with "It's how you use it," which is a classic.
Yeah, and I mean, again, that just more puts this on Luke's win for this round, which brings us to the last round. Also, I'll say that what has been great about this whole battle so far is how snappy it's been. Yeah, like even though Rich has got too many words quite often, Luke's have been short and snappy, and the timing we rattled through this one really quickly. And on a night where there was only 4 battles, we probably could have done with it taking a little bit longer, to be honest. But it's been a great bonus. Right, let's see round 5.
No, it's all good fun. I don't want to spoil the mood a bit, but I will be serious for a moment. We shouldn't be too harsh on Rich. He had a pretty tough upbringing. An alcoholic, abusive father. He developed an alcohol problem of his own after he left the army. I think all that's left is, let's say it together, murder-suicide!
I'll bear that in mind. Luke did not have a tough upbringing at all. He's from an incredibly rich family. His father is Australian, his mum is Greek. So we now have an answer to the age-old genetic question, what would a child look like if it was half geriatric white sperm, half a gold digger so ugly she couldn't find a sugar daddy on the first 3 continents she tried?
Strong woman.
Rich and learn! I think...
well, Luke's won this battle
Luke's
for me.
Clearly won this battle. I mean, this last round proves it again. The kill. Basically, this is an adaptation of the classic "kill yourself" line, but done it in that murder-suicide.
It's giving Luke Hall, isn't it?
I was thinking that, or Joshua Bethania, who's done some really great... this sounds bad. He's done some really great suicide material where he did one recently where he made a whole 4 rounds of suicide jokes, then got to the last one and then says, no, actually, suicide is a really, important thing. It went on and on and on about how it's a big thing in society.
Josh.
And then, but you should kill yourself. It's again, because it's actually something that affects especially the comedy community quite a lot. I think there's a very much higher percentage of suicides amongst comedians anyway. And I think this is our way of partially dealing with that and talking about it. Is that?
But I mean, to gleefully, joyfully say murder, suicide. Oh,
I think that
sometimes a joke is just all delivery, nothing else. It's just all delivery, and it works. Yeah,
that Australian charisma kind of comes through, and it just really makes it land. And it's that kind of pulling the rug out from under your feet, because you're kind of, tinkling along at this one level where he's talking about the alcoholism and since he's left the army, and then you're like, oh, and then he just pulls it right out from under your feet, going, murder, suicide, and it's like, oh, yeah. You got me.
Yeah.
So
great
it's just
work.
The energy of it just pops your balloon, and you laugh. You can't
help but laugh at that. I couldn't. You can hear me very vocally not helping but laughing at it.
If there was no one else laughing in the room, that room would have still been filled with laughter just from you. It's a very distinct laugh. We've mentioned it before on the show. If you're at the back of the room laughing, we're okay. We know that there's someone going to be laughing at every joke, and that deserved a big laugh.
Yeah.
And then for Rich to be tapping back into the Luke having a wealthy family, I don't think the audience ever fully got on board with that concept. I don't think he ever really connected them in the way that Luke tied Rich to being in the army. That they really got that concept. They were along with it. I think people had already forgotten, because it doesn't ring true.
I think that's what happens. That's why we always go less words, because people are forgetting key information because they're tuning out in the middle of your jokes because of the number of words that you're saying. Yeah,
and I think this one, we'll look at the judges' comments in a moment, but I think this one especially just dies by how many words, because his mother's Australian and his dad's Greek.
No, his dad's Australian, his mother's Greek, and then his mother is a gold-digging whore who tried to
cross 3 continents to get there.
It's too much.
It's what we call a long walk.
Yeah.
To get to the punchline.
It's a long walk to nowhere.
It's a long walk.
It's the anti-Mandela.
Wow. I think that we've coined a phrase there. It's the first one for the podcast. It's the anti-Mandela. A long walk that leads nowhere. I'm going to write that one down. I'm going to remember that one. Anti-Mandela. At this point, although it's completely like Luke has stormed this, and spoiler alert from the audience is it's a 3-0 win for Luke. I don't think we need to underestimate how good this whole battle was from first timers. If you'd shown me this battle, I never would have guessed this from first timers.
I mean, I've seen people who've done roast battle for about 6-7 years do battles that are more mediocre than this. So,
I've done battles that are more mediocre than this.
Very much the same.
And past performance is no evidence of future success, but these guys really look like, I think both of them teamed up with maybe a more seasoned battler or someone that's very different to them, not just another white guy. I think they could do some damage. I think they could really make an impact on the scene, and I really look forward to seeing more of them.
Yeah, I hope to see them soon.
Should we have a listen to what the judges had to say?
Rich and Luke! You have to stay here for the judging, Rich. I mean, you're going to lose, but still. First of all, big round of applause for that band! I have to say, I did really enjoy it. I did wonder when you were going to unveil your new app. But what were we saying, Celia?
I think that was a really close battle. I quite enjoyed it, actually. I do feel like Rich's voice is really familiar, like he just guided me out of a panic attack before I came to the show. Yeah, you all seem to enjoy that Obi-Wan Kenobi joke, didn't you? I didn't, but you enjoyed it.
Yeah, you Ewoks don't like that shit.
Thank you, Shrek.
It's not even the same franchise.
It doesn't need to be. Sometimes I couldn't follow the jokes, but I did hear some key words like AIDS and bumhole. And I really liked your comeback when the sound effect came on about not being able to duck and roll. A real veteran would do that. And enjoyed the tiny penis joke, the smelly penis joke, yeah. So my bet is on Luke.
All right, 1-0 to Luke!
Mark Cram, what a hero, what a legend.
I mean, he's called it straight away.
Yeah.
He knows which way the wind is blowing. On that one, it's definitely going to go Luke's way. But
he's on point with his commentary. Mark Cram is always on point, but the exchange with Celia.
Oh, and she misses such an easy joke as well. I guess that's not annoying because she calls him Shrek when she could have just called him Jabba. And that would have been so much better.
Yeah. No, but Mark pointed that out. Also, Mark fucking loser, Mark Cram. It's not even the same franchise. It's like, okay, virgin.
Yeah, I think the fact that he sat there with, you can't tell what the tattoos are of. But if you looked at them, they're very nerdy tattoos. Yeah. But he's got covered in tattoos on his arms. He's up there on stage. And, he looks quite, very manly.
Very cool.
Doesn't look nerdy at all. So for him to tap, despite the fact, if you look closely, he has a Seymour Skinner tattoo. Yeah. There's plenty of nerdcore going on his arms. But yeah, the judges can also get stuck in with jokes. I think all the observations. Celia pointed out the duck and roll thing after the sound effect, because we pointed out how good Callum was with the sound effect. But he had a great response there, saying if you were a real veteran, you'd have ducked and rolled away from that. And that couldn't be written ahead of time. You had to be in the moment to do that. That was 1-0 to Luke. I think that is completely justified. I think we move on to Adam Green.
Adam Green.
Oh, hi, Mark. Thanks for having me. Now, I've been judging roast battle for 7 years now, and I thought that was a great battle. Wasn't that a great battle, guys? It was amazing.
Fun fact, no one actually knows how long he's been judging roast battle for. It's been lost to time.
Rich, I thought you opened strong by saying something about his mullet. It is weird. That's fine. I loved the getting AIDS first joke. That was just like evocative. And I really liked it when you played the helicopter noise. I didn't really understand what came after, but that was fun. It reminded me of Fireman Sam. I don't know why. And I really liked the pretty tiny smelly dick joke, because we all like an acronym, don't we? It's just fun. And nice to hear you were in a band called Boys From Your Area. I think I've been advertised like a spin-off of that. Like, they're called Busty Milfs From Your Area. They're advertised a lot to me. I'm sure they're a great band. Anyway, where was I? I thought that was both excellent stuff from both. How many roast battles have you both done? This
fucking
the first one for both of you? Yeah. That's the first one. That was incredible. I'm going to vote for Rich.
Oh, there you go. It wasn't a clean sweep after all.
Yeah, surprising vote from Adam Green, the king of a good ramble.
Yeah, I mean, he, as we said before, he's just great at just pointing out things that happened and it'd be funny.
Yeah.
Like, oh, remember when this happened? Yeah, that was a good observation. And he points out some of the key jokes in there, but I think maybe he suggests that, the fact that he didn't quite get the helicopter and didn't understand what happened after, maybe he zoned out for a second.
I think that's just part of Adam's comedy persona.
Fair
I
enough.
think he's playing into the comedy persona of being the guy who's just sat there not understanding stuff, Googling busty MILFs in his area.
I'm sure he was up to more productive things than that. But yes, but all his observations are valid. I feel like all the big jokes that he brings up were Luke's, but still
Votes for Rich. A classic Adam swing.
Fair enough.
I'm surprised. I disagree, but
yeah, I think we all give it to Luke, and I can prove that we give it to Luke because look who's next.
Makes it 1-1, and we go to the deciding vote from Drew Stearne.
This was a great battle between what I presume is a fisherman who's scared of water and a lumberjack who's scared of trees. It's brilliant. I've got my first phrase written down in my notebook, which is going to get me arrested. It says, "Only fun people get AIDS." I think that was a brilliant fucking line. I love that. I put a circle around it and a few hearts. So that's how much I love that. The Rich, man, you bury your jokes in so many words. Like, I felt like I had to hack through the undergrowth with a machete to get to them. There was some very good stuff in there. You just had to look way too hard. So it has to go to Luke. Absolutely.
All right, your winner by 2 votes to 1 is Luke!
There you have it. I agree with myself.
yeah, that's fair. All the same stuff you've said on the podcast today.
Yeah, and I got one person to laugh at my lumberjack versus fisherman joke, and that's you.
Yeah. I always think that judges' comments don't get enough because they're just waiting for analysis.
Yeah.
And everyone should, you know what, pay attention to the judges' jokes. We write some good jokes, which we're very proud of. And I thought that was a great joke that deserved way more from everyone.
I sometimes try and write some jokes ahead of time if I know who's battling. I had no idea who these guys were, and I hadn't had time to prepare. So that one was just an in-the-moment thing.
And it was great.
I liked it.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to claim anything away from this. This was a fantastic battle between two incredible first-time battlers. And we want to see more people like that. In fact, there was 2 battles that same night that were from new competitors. A lot of new blood coming through, a lot of very exciting battles, and we will look at new people as much as the old regulars over the course of this podcast. But for now, I think that's it. We can wrap things up here.
If you'd like to get in touch with us, drop us a DM on Instagram at HardlinesPod, and for tickets to the live show, head over to roastbattle.co.uk/tickets.
So that's it from Hard Lines. Hopefully you've enjoyed this deep dive into another classic roast battle. We'll be back soon with another episode, but until then, my name's Drew Stearne.
My name's Shalaka Kurup.